choosing the best painkillers for your foot pain. So when you have any kind of pain, you should always be careful in choosing the medications that you're going to use. You shouldn't just go for the strongest painkillers unless you're in severe pain. But for the most part, very simple over-the-counter measures can be quite helpful. The principles in healthcare are normally governed by something called the World Health Organization pain ladder. And what this is it's an idea that you start off with the weakest medications and you gradually increase up the ladder effectively according to the needs. So as a general rule, you start with non-painkiller adjuvants, and in foot pain that can be things like footwear, orthotics, maybe ice or heat, and then you go to non-opioids and anti-inflammatories. So that would be things like paracetamol and ibuprofen and aspirin. And then you can also go for some of the topical anti-inflammatories as well. So that'd be things like ibuprofen gel and Voltarol gel as the two kind of go-tos. There's other anti-inflammatories available that are non-steroidal, such as diclofenac and naproxen, although these are only available through a doctor. And when you're taking these, what you're aiming to do is to build up an amount of the medication in your system, so that way the pain is kind of pushed down and keeps on being pushed down. When you take the medications on a regular basis, so paracetamol every 4 to 6 hours and ibuprofen roughly every 6 hours, can be every 4 to 6 though, what you end up doing is you build it up in your system, and the previous dose builds, or the new dose builds on the previous dose, and as a result you end up with a much stronger effect. Fun fact, actually, paracetamol, when given, albeit through a needle in the arm, is as strong, if not stronger, than morphine, and it can be a lot more effective. When they did studies on people who have been in major traumas, and they look at how often people were needing top-ups of their medication, those given paracetamol required no top-ups at all, whilst those given morphine required a lot more top-ups. And this is because it's a lot less variable between people. There's a lot less variability in how the body metabolizes things, is my understanding. It's probably a lot more complicated than that. So when you're looking at how to take your painkillers, you would take your paracetamol every 4 to 6 hours. A full dose is 1 gram, according to age. And my advice is mostly tailored towards adults. And you can also take at the same time ibuprofen, or an ibuprofen non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug type. So aspirin is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, although there can be interactions with blood thinners and various other things. And naproxen is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, as is diclofenac. And with all of those, you can take paracetamol plus one of those non-steroidals. And so as a result, you can build it up in your system. If that's failing to work, then typically, especially in the UK, you can get very weak opioids over the counter. So things like cocodamol. This is available in migraine relief tablets, and just generally in codeine. You can normally get 8/500, which is 8 milligrams of codeine combined with 500 milligrams of paracetamol. But if you're taking that cocodamol, so part codeine, part paracetamol, then you must not take plain paracetamol as well at the same time. So that's kind of where you would start with your over-the-counter medications. And typically speaking, if you're doing that, you shouldn't really have too much of an issue with breakthrough pain. Otherwise, you really do need to be seeing a specialist. So my kind of algorithm for how to manage pain for patients is paracetamol to begin with. Well, there's the non-medication one, so insoles, ice, heat, maybe looking at footwear. Then it's paracetamol every 4 to 6 hours. Then using either a topical non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug like ibuprofen or Voltarol gel. And ibuprofen gel is applied 3 times a day, whilst Voltarol gel is applied twice a day. Always check the information on the packets, and that applies to all the information that I've given in this video, and make sure that there's no interactions with any other medications that you're taking. If that fails to work, then you can take paracetamol plus ibuprofen or paracetamol plus naproxen. You shouldn't take paracetamol plus ibuprofen plus naproxen. That'd be a very bad thing to do. But paracetamol plus non-steroidal is a good idea. And then if that's not working, then you might take cocodamol plus a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, and that will hopefully just take your pain relief up another level. Hope that helps.